Guys, Nina Soul with Spiritual Vibes. I'm doing another video today. I just did a video on selenite and the different ways that I like to use selenite, things like that. If you guys are interested in checking out that video, please feel free. This video is gonna be about magic and how I feel about magic and what I see magic as being. So okay, so magic to me is, it's a lot of things. It's working with my highest self, working with my inner self, my inner powers, things like that. A lot of things that like people see as being negative things are actually, they're really not. Like, I think before I had gotten back onto my path and practicing and becoming spiritual again, like I had started, this is a path that I had started like when I was like 14. And I had, veered off my path. I started trying to, get it more into religious practice, things like that. And things that just really weren't working for me. And people will always be like, oh, why is it that you don't want to go to church? Why you don't want to go to church? Blah, blah, blah. It's not that I don't like church. It's not that I fear church. It's not anything like that. It's just that when I was sitting there in church, I wasn't receiving the messages the way I wanted to receive the messages. Like, it wasn't coming to me the way I felt like was right for me. So I did give different churches a chance. Like, I went to other churches and tried doing the religious thing, but it just wasn't what was in me. And what was in me the whole time that I was trying to be a religious person, what was in me was magic. And magic to me is when you connect with the elements, around you, when you connect with nature, when you connect with your inner self, with your higher powers, things like that. To me, that's what magic is. So getting back onto my spiritual journey, like, it was like when I came back, I went harder. Like, I veered off of it, but when I came back, it was like I was harder. I was going at it harder. I was being more into it. Like, I gave my whole self, and I just no, like, this is my path. I'm not gonna let what other people say affect that, because what they were doing was they were actually pulling me away from what was for my highest good. So they were pulling me away from that because they were doing other people were doing what they felt was right for them. So because they're doing what they feel is right for them, they automatically want to pull people towards what they found right for them, which is not right for everybody else. It's not right for everyone else. Like, for me, it was like, I wasn't really receiving my messages. I didn't feel like I was connected. I didn't feel, I don't know, I felt like there was just this place that I would go to on Sundays that they were just judging me and wanting to put rules on me on, this ain't the right thing, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong. Like, it was like I wasn't being allowed to see it for myself. It was like they were already telling me what was wrong and what was right, and what I'm supposed to do and what I'm not supposed to do. And I've never been that type of person to follow. I don't want to say follow the rules, because really there are no rules, but I just wasn't I wasn't a follower. I wasn't a follower because I knew that it was in my best interest to be a leader, and to be a leader of myself, and only myself, because I'm not expecting anybody to follow me, like, to follow what it is that I do and do exactly like I do, because this is the right way, which, if I told you that, that would be completely false, because my way is right for me, your way is right for you, their way is right for them, and I don't judge that. I don't judge that, because it's like I know better. when you judge things, you basically you're feeding those same things, you're feeding them energy. So when you're judging somebody, or when you're judging an act, or when you're judging a practice, or you're judging somebody else's path, you're feeding those things your energy. And when you feed things with your energy, it's like those are the things that are gonna come back to you. Like they're gonna come back to you, and they're gonna, like, it's not a good thing, because you don't want to feed energy to something that you don't agree with. You don't want to feed energy into that. You want to feed your energy into things that are positive, and are gonna lift you up, not lower you down. And that's where a lot of people end up messing themselves up, is because they're constantly judging other people. And that was one of the things that I didn't like about religion, was that it was like I was constantly being judged, and other people were constantly being judged, and nobody seemed to have a problem with that but me. Like, everyone was like, oh no, you're not supposed to do that, it's not the right thing. Like, but how is it not the right thing if it feels right to me? Like, I know myself well enough to know when I'm doing something wrong and when I'm doing something right. And me knowing what's right and what's wrong for me is me knowing myself. So for somebody else to sit there and be like, no, that's wrong, no, that's not the right way, no, that's, like, it was like, what the hell? Like, it feels okay to me. So that was like, yeah, like, back, okay, I'm kind of like, it's all gonna come together, you're gonna see, watch. Okay, so with that being said, with you feeding other things energy, it all comes down to magic. It all comes down to metaphysics, to mysticism, whatever you want to call it, magic. It comes down to magic, because you're feeding energies off. It's just like, it's no different from doing spell work. It's no different. And that's the thing, is that people want to think of it as something so evil. Like, something evil is because you're doing a spell to bring you prosperity. You're doing a spell to find you a job. You're doing a spell to cleanse your house. You're doing, like, what's wrong with that? Like, that's feeding something positive. You're feeding your energy into something positive, something that's going to better your life, something that's going to better your family's life, something that's going to better yourself. But here's all these religious people, though, passing judgment on what other people's paths are, and what's right to other people. They're feeding those things negative energy by putting judgment. So, okay, if I had to say it, if it's wrong to put judgment and feed energy in a negative way, or if it's wrong to do spells to attract positive things into your life, and to raise your vibrations and raise your frequencies, so that you can better receive positive things into your life. I mean, which one is negative? Which one's wrong? Which one's positive? Which one's right? That's for you to decide. But for me, I mean, this side seems a lot better. so that's what I went with. When I went back to it, I like I said, I went in with everything I had, because it's like, people are afraid of what people are afraid of. It's like they fear these things, so they don't even bother trying it. They don't even bother looking into it. They don't even bother with it. And with me, it was like, these things felt right to me. These felt right. Like, it wasn't a struggle to try to open myself up to spirituality. It wasn't a struggle. It was something that came so natural, something that was already in me. I just had to dust it off a little bit, because I had been, getting judged and criticized so much that it was like I started to judge myself and criticize myself and I lowered my vibration, because these energies were feeding it in a negative way. So it lowered my vibration. It lowered my frequency. And when it lowered me, that's when, my anxiety started kicking in even harder. My depression started kicking in even harder. There was a lot of bad things happening. Like, my life was shitty, honestly. Like, I was in, I don't know, I don't want to really get too deep into it, but just know that pretty much everything and everyone around me was just like damaging. It was damaging. And the reason why I embrace that and why I'm so positive about that is because I know that I went from here to here. And the only reason why I went from here to here was because of myself, because I opened my inner power and I brought myself from the ground all the way up and brought myself here. And the reason why I was able to do that was because I changed my vibration. I changed my frequency. I changed it into a positive thing. Like I raised it. I raised my vibration. So when you raise your vibration, you attract positive things into your life. And ever since I did that, things to this day are still changing, and they're changing for the better. I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't have my bad days, because I do. But the thing is that I have magic to help me with that. I have magic to change that. So if I'm having a bad day, or I'm trying to use an example with like without getting too personal. Let's see, like, for instance, I don't know, me and my husband were, which we bicker, but we don't get into it like we used to get into it. We used to get into it. Oof, I don't even want to get into that. But our relationship is so much better now. It's like, it's so much better now. And the reason why it is that is because, like, I know how to shift it. I know how to shift the vibration and shift the energy so that good things are coming to us, and good things are coming constantly. And so that, like, that's just, magic is like in all of us. And it's not a lot of people are open to using it because they're already set in their ways, and they already have it in that state of mind that, oh, that's evil, it's a negative thing, that's evil, that's, like, you don't even know how many times I've been called the devil. And I'm called the devil because I open myself to my highest power, to my highest good, and I'm evil for that. But once again, those are people feeding into negative energy. And when you look at who's judging you and what they're saying about you, like, don't say nothing back. Let them say what it is that they gotta say, but really observe and look at their life, and look at what it is that's going on with them and what's going on around them. And you're gonna see what level they're on. You're gonna see that they got a low vibration. And you can't really do nothing for them because they gotta do it for themselves. They gotta raise their vibration on their own. You can talk to them about it, you can tell them about it, and give them some, tips, and, like, let them know what they can do, but they're not gonna open up to it if they're already set in their ways. They're not gonna open up to it. And that's why the magic life ain't for everybody. The magic life is for the people that know that, that they know better, because they've listened to their inner self. They've listened to the messages that have been given to them, and they follow through with it. So yeah, like, I went from attracting really bad things to attracting positive things, and I'm still able to attract more to myself, only through magic, only through knowing how to feed my intentions and my energies into the right things. Because when you do that, the universe, like, okay, when you feed your intentions and your energies, like, just like if you're doing a spell. Okay, so spell, right? Okay, so this is a spell. Just for example, this is my spell right here. My spell is gonna be to let's see, to attract abundance, right? So my spell is gonna be an abundance spell. And get this, like, nobody ever really does. There's dark things out there, because the dark needs to exist in order for the light to exist. And it's just one of those rules that we have, being in this third dimension. Like, there's just rules. In order for one thing to exist, the other thing has to exist. So but there's, like, when you're a spiritual person, not to do the dark, not to do the bad things, because you know that that's going to come back to you. You know that. Like, you know it's going to come back to you threefold, you know? So you just, I mean, I don't do it. Anyway, back to my abundance spell. So this is my abundance spell, right? I'm feeding my intention into this abundance spell. From here, from the spell, that energy is being fed out into